Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much to the thousands and thousands of people who are doing that, and also downloading the PLZ Soccer app, which is all the breaking news at your fingertips, so you can watch the show live, not only on the phone but on your PC, your tablet as well. So there's lots of ways to enjoy all the content that's coming out on PLZ Soccer, and of course if you go on the website as well, you can find out all the news about your favourite club. So lots to talk about. As ever, we always like to throw a wee quiz question out there, and here is the question, which I think Ruffy will get easily enough, probably Tam as well. Obviously Nottingham Forest are playing Manchester United in the EFL Cup tonight. Who scored the winner for Nottingham Forest in the 1980 European Cup final? If you think you know that, fire it out there. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. And if you want to win yourself a fantastic prize in our competition, then have a look at this.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. And of course, if you want to interact with us, you can do that too, because all you need to do is get on the feed on our YouTube channel. You can engage with your fellow fans, or indeed put a point to us as well. And thank you to so many of you who join us on that just to say hello. So, and hi to Harry Reid, Robert as well, Johnny, Paul, Hoggy, Lee Shanley, to name but a few, who are always in there early to support us. Thanks to Patricia Monroe as well. Good afternoon to you, Patricia. It's great to have your company, and we always like to say hello to people near and far, and the countries and the people who like to tune in, who are maybe expats. It's always an absolute bonus to have you on board, because the audience is growing, and it's really soaking up so many of the different bits of content we have, including our news. Now, from the competition, let's kick on to all the signings, players coming in. We'll hear from Todd Cantwell a little later on as well, and his hopes as a Rangers player now. There could be another one on the way. We'll discuss that too. Oh is the man who's in, Oh Hyun-gyu from South Korea, who's signed for Celtic. Tall guy, 6'1". You know, I had a look at his showreel, but as Tam mentioned, we all look great in a showreel, Ruffy.
Even me.
Yeah,
all right.
But he's in, and Celtic have got their man.
I'll get the 5 greatest saves.
Yes, absolutely. on your DVD. I think I bought that. Here's what, of course, Ange Postecoglou had to say about your man, because he obviously wanted to get him in there. I've watched O for some time, and he is the striker I really wanted. Really importantly, I know he had his heart set on joining us too, and that his own perseverance has been crucial in making this deal happen. He is a young, talented striker with great attributes, and someone who is ready to take the next stage in his career, a player who is hungry, eager to develop and to achieve success. We are really pleased to welcome him to the club, and I look forward to working with him and settling him into our squad. Sometimes 2 and 2 makes 5, Ruffy. Does that mean that Giacomakis will be heading out before that window closes?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good business getting somebody in before you let somebody go. He's obviously, Giacomakis has done his bit. You know, I think he's come in, he's given a different sort of a striker for Kyogo. So it remains to be seen what this new lad coming in is like. You know, again, it's another 5-year contract. You know, they seem to be really building for the future. They're not messing about here, and anybody, you know, the hope he comes in, he does. I can't honestly remember that much from the World Cup. I can't say he was a standout or somebody I would have remembered doing something, but if it's any evidence to the boys that are there, and if he ticks any of their boxes, then it's going to be a fantastic signing.
Yeah, I think the proof will be in the pudding once they get to see him. This is what O had to say about his arrival. I'm happy to be playing at one of the top clubs, and I'm delighted that my dream has come true. I feel like I'm on a movie set, and I'm really excited to be in the city and looking forward to the upcoming days. This is the moment I've dreamt of, and I'm really excited to perform in front of the fans at the stadium. I'm a very aggressive player who also likes the physical side, and I like to score lots of goals. One of my aims is to score a lot of goals, I also have ambitions. I wish I could read the rest of that for you. I can't. It's just absolutely dropped out of my sight. One of my aims is to score a lot of goals and also have ambitions of winning the league championship. I'm happy to have the Celtic badge on my chest and to be working with the team on its goals. Okay, quite extensive his enthusiasm for it. So he's there, he's in, and he joins the squad. And I would imagine if Ange Postecoglou's had his eye on him, then he has all those qualities that Ange likes in a player: high press, energy, runs about, and you'll be hoping he's a player that can score goals in the Champions League.
Yeah, as I said, he's only 21 years old as well, so he's obviously a relatively young player, and I think he'll come into the squad and he'll be competition for Kyogo in that lone striker role that Celtic like to play. I think it will be the end for Giakoumakis. I think Celtic will sell him now, but having a look at his YouTube show, he does like the physical side of the game, which I think is good, particularly in our league. You've got to be physical, you've got to be strong up there against big, strong defenders in the Scottish Premier League. So, no, I think he looks the part. Obviously, Ange has been tracking him for a long time. And as I said, I think he'll come in and do well at Celtic, like the rest of the kind of Japanese, South Korean guys that are there. I think he'll do well at Celtic.
The other great thing about signing someone like for Celtic, Ruffy, and certainly for the press, it's really a headline. It's a sub's dream when you think about it. It's already started here because Robert Rowan says, will he soon be called Oh No? And then you've got another one here from Derek Smith who says, oh, he's magic, So we're rolling out the 1970s tunes now, but of course I don't think it'll be too far away. If he gets a red card, Ruffy, it'll be oh dear.
Oh, they'll be like the fans will have a song already. It will be. That's the way it is, But he needs to hit the ground running. I think we all remember when Giakoumakis came and he had a penalty, didn't he? And he decided to take it in the first day and he missed it.
Yeah.
And it took him a wee while for the fans to get back on board again. So he'll be hoping, when given the chance. I don't know if he's going to be another one of these ones we're not going to see for 3 or 4 weeks, because he has to acclimatise and he has to get into the way that Celtic play and that kind of thing. So I hope it's not too long, because everybody likes to see a new player coming in.
Yeah, the other thing about it, which is a complete shift in Celtic strategy now, is when Ange wants them in, they're in early enough. It's not this last minute late deal. If anything, now that he's got these players in, it could allow him. I mean, I think Moritz Jens will go back to Lorient. He was on loan here. And of course, Giakoumakis, there's still this constant speculation that it could be anything from Atlanta to Urawa Red Diamonds. There's lots of clubs being linked with him as an imminent move.
Yeah, I think that him and his agent will be getting together and trying to get the best financial deal possible. We spoke about it before. He's 28 years old. This is probably his last big move, and he'll be looking to get the right move for him financially. I think Celtic will have a fee in mind. I'm sure that all those clubs, that were mentioned there, will have met that fee, and now it's just down to him and his agent to try and get the best deal possible. And for them, it's great if he's got 2 or 3 options as a player. You can start to play them off against each other, and you can bump your own money up. So I think that Giakoumakis is looking for a big payday. I don't blame him. Listen, he's not played at a very, very high level for a long time. He's played at some smaller clubs in Greece and in Holland. So he'll be looking to try and secure his future, his family's future, and get the best move possible. But I think he'll definitely be away before the window closes. Yeah,
and of course all the stories, never too far away. I read a story this morning saying, could Everton entice Ange Postecoglou to Goodison Park? And I thought, not a catch chance in hell. I still think his driving ambition, Ange Postecoglou, is to have a tilt and see if he can get some kind of progression in the group stages of the Champions League.
Yeah, I think if Ange, next season in the Champions League, I think Celtic will obviously win the league this year. I think if they go into the Champions League next year and they somehow qualify, then his stock goes even higher. And you could go and dominate domestically here, but I think the main thing that catches the attention of clubs down south is Europe, Champions League. And I think if Celtic can finish in the top 2 in the Champions League and get into the knockout stages, then I think you would see much bigger clubs, no disrespect to Everton, come in, maybe a top 4, top 6 club in England, thinking we'll take a chance on him.
He does have to improve his CV in Europe. It's not particularly good, the stats, whether it's the players aren't good enough, or the difference in wages and all that, but people just look at the stats, and I think he wants to go into the Europe next time and move up that, if he gets to the group stage, move up that group stage, tackle a big noise, take a scalp, you know, and then I think that's when you get noticed, because I think he's done okay in Europe, but if you want to go at the big boys, you've got to take a scalp or two in Europe and everybody just notices it, and I don't think he's done that in Europe yet.
Yeah, I think the Celtic fans have been happy overall with the way they played the football, maybe a wee bit gutted at the end result, which is, of course, we know the result is king. But I think, you know, I mean, I can remember being in the press box and the Celtic fans were well happy with an hour at Real Madrid against Real Madrid.
Yeah, listen, I think that it's exciting to watch Celtic play, even if you're a neutral, you're tuning in down south, whatever, just tuning in to watch a game, and you'd never seen Celtic before, you think, wow, they're having a go. And I think when you listen, I know the results are the be all and end all in football, but I think if you're a supporter, you want to go and see your team having a go at the big boys, and they've done that in the Bernabeu. Listen, they get well beat in the end, and they've done it at home again, but they're playing the cream of European football, the holders, and they've still went out and attacked, whereas you'd Rangers who were insipid, who went down to Liverpool and parked the bus, you know, went to Ajax and got hammered and didn't lay a glove on them, you know. So I think if you're a Celtic supporter, or any supporter for that matter, you want to see your team going and having a go and having attacking another team, rather than sitting in and being a kind of lambs to the slaughter and try to keep the score down. So I think that's where he's got to improve the quality in both boxes. He's got to get better defenders in. You know, if your full-backs are bombing forwards, you've got to have two quality centre-halves, and you've got to have better quality in the final third to go and finish. And maybe the new signing is key to that. Maybe he'll come in and hit the ground running at the end of this season and go into the Champions League and get the goals that Celtic lacked last year. Yeah.
Thank you to so many of you who are obviously watching the programme and then every now and then just posting a wee message. I think we've had enough of the O's because now Robert Hyland says, oh boy, which again, you know, there's so many of them. I wonder if you can think of the best one that's come out for a player. I mean, there's been a few belters down through the years.
Names.
You know the play on the player's name that could come up.
There is an old one that we can't do on air.
No, don't.
I'm sure that'll get used.
Well, don't do anything that gets us in trouble. So thank you to so many of you for your thoughts on the new signing. Of course, that's Celtic and their business. There could be a few players going out as well. Incidentally, we're going to talk about Hibs, Tam, because obviously I'm going to be interested to get your thoughts on the possible move of Kevin Nisbet in a moment. Just interestingly enough though, Ruffy, Rangers are also doing business. Todd Cantwell is in. Standard Liège midfielder Nicholas Raskin looks as if it's a 4.5-year deal on the cards, and he could be the next man in the door for Rangers.
Yeah, and I think the Rangers fans will be anticipating, are they first teamers? You know, are they going to get right into the first team? Are they good enough to get right into the first team? Who's going to be left out?
Buy squad players.
No, but I think you're
chance.
Yeah, no, but we're going to have to wait and see. You know, because you will have to move some people on. I know we know Steve Davis might be, you know, taking a wee step back. You know, we're waiting in Arfield, so he has to make places for them. You know, and I know
that buy them for the squad. There's no way.
No, I don't mean they're going to be for the squad. I think the Rangers supporters want to see them in right away. Don't be hanging about, not waiting 2 and 3 weeks and 4 weeks, you know, till they come up to speed. They need to go in right, and they need to be good enough to go in right away.
Yeah, I don't think he can afford, I mean, if we're talking about some of the players that everybody's been looking at and been, you know, either critical of Ross Wilson's recruitment or not, depending on where you finish in the league, and if you're winning cups, you know, I think criticism does start to come your way if the players are not stepping up to the plate. But I think of the signings that they're looking at now, I think they're looking and saying to themselves, they need to come in and get into that starting 11. There's no squad players.
No, I think that if Rangers are going to seriously get closer to Celtic, then they've got to improve their starting 11. I think that if you look at Celtic's depth in terms of 20-25 players, very, very deep squad. Celtic, they can chop and change, and there's not a lot of difference between the quality. I think if Rangers lost 3 or 4 key players out of that team, I think they would struggle, and they've got to improve the starting lineup, and get better subs as well. So, no, I think that in terms of Rangers, they've got to sign quality players. I think Cantwell's good. I think he's a quality player. I think he's played in the Premier League and the Championship in England. He's got a lot of games under his belt. I think a fresh change for him. He's been at Norwich, I think, his whole career, and I think a fresh change for him could be for the best. But he's got to come up and hit the ground running. How many times have we seen players coming up from England, you know, and the big reputations, you know, they think he's going to do well, and they come up and they struggle with the Scottish game. So he's got to get up to speed physically, because you've got to be fit in this league. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, well, Todd Cantwell says he's up here to win silverware.
Right now, I think the important thing is lifting silverware. I think, you know, this club comes with that responsibility, as we touched on earlier. You know, you have to look at this as a massive opportunity to win trophies, and in football, you know, that's not always easy. That's not easy to win stuff, and you have to be in a good team with a good manager and good players to actually win silverware. So that is definitely the intention.
Well, I liked him, Ruffy, when he had a really good couple of years at Norwich, and I like him as a player. And sometimes, you know, players lose their way a wee bit, so this is a real chance for him to get a regular football, really good level, and of course there's the attraction, of course, of European football next season as well.
Yeah, I think that's what Rangers and Celtic do. They attract these kind of players because there is European football. More likely, the clubs that they've been out for 2 or 3 years haven't even experienced it, and we've saw what like the European nights are at Ibrox and Parkhead. They're absolutely fantastic. Why wouldn't you want to be involved with that? He's got to get back to where he was. I mean, you're right in what you said. When he was in the Premiership, it looked as if he had a lot of flair. He was exciting to watch, good attacking people, you know, that kind of stuff. So he needs to get back to that. But I think the Rangers fans will be really interested to see where he's going to be playing.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, which I find intriguing, you know, obviously there's two that you think are on their way out at Celtic, and then you look and you say to yourself, okay, you know, the ongoing situation here with when are they going to talk to Ryan Kent, because if indeed he decides, you know, after, this is January 25th, if he gets to the end of that window, he can just turn around and say, well, I'll be off in the summer and I'll take all the money because he's out of contract. Morelos is different. I mean, I read Morelos's link with Inter Milan. Now, maybe that's his agent just pushing him about everywhere to see what he can get for him now.
Yeah, I don't think either of them will sign a new deal. Let's be honest. Rangers have been trying to get them to sign a new deal for 6 months to a year. What's going to change in the last week of the window? I think if you're those players, you want to see what's out there as a free agent at the end of the season. So I don't see any of them signing a new contract at Rangers. I think they'll both see their contract out at the end of the season. And as you said, if you're a free agent at the end of the season and you're playing particularly well, and Kent's playing well at the minute, Morelos hit and miss. But if Kent, you know, keeps his form up for now at the end of the season and he's available on a free, he's going to get himself a massive payday somewhere. And that might be the Premier League, it might be the Championship. But if you're getting him for nothing, then I think you would push the boat out and give him big wages to get him. So I don't see either signing a new deal at Rangers. I think both will see their contract out.
Interesting point from you there on that, Ruffy.
It depends what's on the table. You know, obviously there has to be negotiations going on between the players and their agents. Now, we're not privy, you know, to what is put on the table. But as Tam said, if it's put on the table 10 grand a week or something, and he knows he'll run his contract down and double that, plus the money that the club would be paying to get him. So it has to be a package that Rangers are offering any of them that'll make them want to sign.
I always remember he used to hang about with Robbo in Edinburgh, and he always says to me the best time to really start firing in the goals is when you're at the end of your contract. And then suddenly it all cranks up. And I don't know about you, Tam, but I think Kent is playing really well at the moment.
He is, and as I said, he's in the driving seat if he's playing well. And at the end of the season, there's clubs looking at him now.
Yeah.
You know, say I don't know, a bottom end Premier League team, and they're saying to listen, just sit tight, and we'll sign you for a free in the summer, and the £1 million we get you for the now, you'll give it you. You know, because you don't need to pay a transfer fee. That sort of chat goes on between agents and players and clubs.
Yeah. But the other thing
can
is,
get himself a big contract.
You've mentioned you think he'll go in the summer, but the one thing that I think is the saving grace, you know, it all boils down to money. I get that, but the one thing that's really kind of hit home over the last couple of last few weeks, is Michael Beale has actually put an arm around him and said, "Listen, you know, I like you. I know what you can do. Go out there, enjoy yourself. You're a special player." He's obviously had that one-to-one chat with him, and suddenly we're seeing the Kent that we all know he's capable of doing something special, cutting in from the left, either scoring a goal or creating something.
That's the only, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, I think, for Rangers supporters to get him to stay as Michael Beale. I think if Michael Beale never came in, there was absolutely zero chance of Ryan Kent staying at Rangers. I think he's a guy who knows well, trusts him, rates him, as you said, put an arm round him and says, "Listen, you're the main man, go out and show it." And he's done that since Michael Beale's come in. So I think that's the only chance that Kent's maybe got to stay at Rangers as a manager. But I just think he'll see his contract out at the end of the season and see what's out there as a free agent.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of that transfer scenario with Chick Charnley on, and Chick said in the last month of the season, what you do is you just stick in a wee dodgy period and then you get a move. You get a few bob in the back.
Or as Chick once said, or you belt one of your teammates, or pick a fight, you know you're going to get a move. But no, not advisable. Listen, lots of people have got their thoughts on it, so thank you very much for all your thoughts. One here was an interesting one. He says that, I'm just trying to see where it was, I think it was Matt who said Kent's form is better than Jota's at the moment. I wouldn't disagree with him.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about Jota the other day, but it's disappeared completely. You know, as he signed his new deal, he's a wee bit of complacency, he's too comfortable at the minute, but there's serious competition for places at Celtic. If you're not at it, it doesn't matter who you are. Celtic paid a big fee for him, and he's not playing. So I don't think Ange is going to be swayed by how much money somebody's earning or how much the transfer fee was. I think in training and in games, if you're doing it, you play, no matter what you're worth. So he's got a fight in his hands to get back into the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Brady says, Peter, when players turn it on when their contracts run down, they're not worth keeping. Absolutely, Paul, but that's not the way football works, because people have got the memory of 3 days ago, Ruffy, haven't they? And then all of a sudden, everybody's mindset changes, going, oh, he's quality. And someone said on the feed there, well, if he was consistently good, he wouldn't be playing in Scotland. Well, you know, there is that point. If you are consistent, then you do attract the interest, and we all know every club in Scotland is a selling club. There was a point where Kent was just not doing it for me. He just wasn't at the races, you know, wasn't scoring goals, wasn't creating stuff for Rangers. Whether he liked the way Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had laid that side out or not, he wasn't doing it, and we all knew he was capable of it.
Yeah, well, he wasn't doing it until the new manager came in, and he certainly is, you know, and as Tam said, he might be a kind of guy, you need a manager to put your arm around you, you know, and tell you where he wants to play you and where he thinks you're good and what you can do for the club and everything. But at the end of the day, when you run your contract down that low, for me, it all depends on what's on the table.
Yeah, I think Hugh Scott makes a really good point here. It's, you know, it's controversial, but I'm going to read it out, Hugh, just basically because these two dimwits are on the show. Peter, aye, good Tam. What better time to have a prize of the Jota painting on PLZ, and you said he's nowhere to be seen. Now, Hugh, you make a great point, because last week we had the match attacks competition, and then Ruffy goes, oh, aye, I remember the Panini stickers. You know, you couldn't make it up. Honestly, we could give away a car next week on this show. We could give away a Porsche, and these two dimwits would go, oh, I like the Lamborghini. That's what they do. They do that, Hugh. They just don't think. They don't attach their brain to it. So, yeah, don't worry about it. There are Jota fans out there, Hugh. There'll be all of that print, because, of course, not only can he play football, he's a right good looker as well. And the boy Cantwell won't be struggling for people putting posters up the wall for him as well. So don't worry about it. These two do it every week.
There are many Rangers supporters going for the Jota.
Right?
Have you noticed if there's any?
Well, the point is, it's appealing to everyone. The match attacks, and I'll tell you even better than that. Well, I'll tell you, the competition winner who won the Rangers top in the Rangers Europa League programme, absolutely delighted. And I think the key essence of it all here, Ruffy, is every week we're going to be giving away prizes from right across the board of all the clubs. We can snaffle something really good to give away.
Coming up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I did really try in the last couple of weeks to get a howitzer, but I get thwarted in getting a really good Hibs prize. But I will come up with some belters for everyone. But the match attacks one was superb. Jota, equally so. The Rangers top in the programme. And I've got a few others. All I would say to you is this. Remember we were in Madrid, Ruffy? Mm-hmm. You know what we got there, don't you? Do you remember? No.
What night was it?
You can't really remember, because once you get a large... I was just about to say, once you get a large glass of wine, you don't even know.
My foot.
We were both
we went into the Real Madrid shop.
The Modric top.
You bought half the shop.
Yeah. So we're going to be giving away the Modric top as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
you actually stood in the queue to get the number, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You've got to do that. These are good competitions for everybody to get involved in.
I got a key ring.
Yeah, I know. That's because you're...
I got a pint glass in Liverpool.
I know, honestly, that's... It really sums up you two. So from the ins and outs of Rangers and Celtic, give us your thoughts on, is that enough for Celtic? Are you happy, if you're a Celtic fan out there, with what's been recruited? Do you see some people going out as well? You know, maybe could Stephen Welsh be heading out the door? Or with Jens leaving, is he going to be looked at as maybe the fourth option in the centre-half position? It's all good chat. Give us your thoughts on it as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. So, what about the Hibbies? Millwall increased their bid for Kevin Nisbet. Do you see him going?
Yes, I do. I think if Hibs can get 2 million plus add-on, sell-on, I think that's got to be a sell for Hibs. I think that you've got a player who is 26 years old in March. He's 18 months in his contract left. I don't think there's a cat's hope in hell of him signing a new deal at Hibs. So all of a sudden, if you leave it to the end of the season, you know, he's 6 months away from potentially speaking to someone for free. So I would sell him if Hibs get the right money in for 2 million. I think when you see the reaction from the player after he never got his move to Birmingham, I think he went off the boil massively at Hibs. I think it would be the same again here. You know, he's obviously desperate for a move. I don't blame him. I think when you're that age and you've got a potential life-changing move to the English Championship, I was looking up there, you know, the average Championship wage is about 8 grand a week, 10 grand a week. So if he gets down to Millwall and signs a 4-year deal for 10 grand a week, you know, he's a millionaire at a sign of a pen. So I can see Hibs cashing in on him. And the replacements, Hibs moved heaven and earth to sign the boy Harry McCurdy in the last day of the transfer window. He's not a sniff at Hibs. I think you give him an opportunity. I think Lee Johnson has got to get him in. If they sell Nisbet, they get McCurdy in, they say, listen, the next 3 games, I think Aberdeen, Ross County and St Mirren, you're going to play. You're going to play. Just go out and do your best. I think you've got a guy who's 25 years old, he scored 20 goals in League 2. He's not a sniff at Hibs. I think you put your arms around him. I think he's that type of player who would react well to that, to being the main man. And he's not been the main man at Hibs. So for me, Harry McCurdy is there to replace him. You've also got a young lad, Ethan Laidlaw, who scored 20 goals in 16 games for the youth team. I would put him on the bench and I'd have him coming on, give him an opportunity. Josh O'Connor's there as well, another young boy doing really well. And I think Hibs would need to sign a striker as well. So it's not the end of the world for me if Hibs lose Nisbet. I think there's plenty of strikers out there who can come into Hibs and score 5-10 goals from out at the end of the season. But I think you give McCurdy an opportunity through the middle. You give him 3 or 4 games and you say, listen, you're going to play and see what you get out of him. You know, you paid a big fee for him, he's on big money at Hibs, and you give Laidlaw a chance as well. So, listen, you're 10 points clear of the bottom team, Ross County. I don't think Hibs are in any danger of going down. I don't think there's any danger of him finishing third either. So, I think he would buy himself a bit of time and a bit of credit, the manager, if he played some of the young boys and they gave McCurdy an opportunity.
And a double whammy, Porteous?
Porteous is a different one for me. I think that Bashiri's injury has put that one into limbo for me, because I think that Porteous was 100% leaving, you know, if Bashiri never picked up the injury. I think if you lost him long term and you sold Porteous, you'd need to go and sign 2 centre-halves. That's going to be a big... I don't know what Hibs have got in the background. I don't know the recruitment team. Listen, I don't think a lot of Hibs supporters would trust the recruitment team at the minute to go and bring in proper replacements. But I don't think that they'll let Porteous go in this window if Bashiri's out long term. I think they'll try and keep Porteous to the end of the season. I think he's too important. Ooh. I think he's more important to the team than Nisbet.
How much money are we talking about them losing by that?
Well, I don't know what the bids have come in for Porteous. The Blackburn Rovers, you know, supposedly put in 200-300 grand. I don't think that's enough. I would rather keep the player. You know, if it's 500 plus, then you would sell Porteous. But if it's 200 grand, you know, a nominal fee, listen, you're talking 2 million from this, but that's a big amount of money, 200 grand. So I think you would rather keep Porteous back there and give McCurdy an opportunity and let Nisbet go.
Yeah, but
then do the opposite.
It's a 200 grand from somebody who's just chancing their arm. I think they'll get money for him. I think the wheels are in motion too far down the line with Porteous. I think he will go. I mean, if it was Hibs, you look at it and you say to yourself, there's Stephen Welsh available, who's a better option at centre half. I think they need to recruit. You know, the back line needs some serious surgery. And obviously you're going to look at the strike force. Tam says there's a couple of bits of quality. The only thing that goes against it, and I want your thoughts on this as well, Tam, the only thing that goes against saying, you know, there's some good youngsters there is you know, you're skating a fine line. I was looking here at the two of them, Hibs and Aberdeen, who are going to play each other, and I just had a look at the records now. Jim Goodwin's on the verge of getting sacked, right? And Dons have had 3 wins in 13, and obviously been knocked out by Darvel in the Cup. Now, Hibs, 2 wins in 10 games, 2 defeats against Hearts in the league and the Cup. 3 wins out of 14 since October.
Yeah, you could,
not great, Ruffy.
No, you could throw another 2 teams into that, Ross County, and I suppose Motherwell's got just as bad a record. But if they were to let Porteous and Nisbet go, I think all hell would break loose with the fans. They would have to come up with some logical explanation of why it's happened, and have they got backup coming in. They would have to bring somebody, 4 or 5 players in immediately if they 2 go, because there would have to be a reason, and the fans would demand a reason, and why has this happened?
Yeah.
While we're in this state, you know, you're allowing all this to happen.
Because I think, and
you need to remember as well, I think that Kevin Nisbet will be pushing to go. I think he pushed to go to Birmingham. I think he's now got another opportunity to go to the Championship, Millwall, and just outside the playoffs in England. I think he'll be pushing to go again, Peter, and I think if he doesn't get his move this time, you know, does he do the same as the last time when he went off the boil big time and he never got his move? So I think that him and his agent will be pushing for this to go and get a life-changing contract for him.
Yeah, but the same could be said of Porteous.
I think Porteous is, I think he'd be a little bit, I think he would, listen, he's a Scottish international, and I know Nisbet is as well, but I think that Porteous would be a little bit more relaxed because he's not had the opportunity before. I think if Nisbet, you know, the second time he doesn't get a move, I think Porteous is quite relaxed and knowing that at the end of the season the clubs will still be there. I think for Nisbet, you need to remember as well, Nisbet's just come back for a bad injury, you know, and he'll be thinking in the back. I know, you know, as a football player, I'd be thinking, by the way, if I had the money again, you know, from now to the end of the season, that could be me done. You know, it could be me struggling. He's come back for a bad injury, flying, but he could pick up another bad one. That would in the back of my mind, and he's probably thinking, him and his agent, listen, now's the time. The iron's hot at the minute. I'm hot. I'm scoring goals. Now is the time for us to get one move.
It's a difficult shout for the owner.
It is a really difficult one. It's a difficult one because a lot of the Hibs fans...
They're on the edge. They're sitting on the edge, you know, and
they're ready
to lose your top goal scorer and the guy only looks as if the team is going to score goals. Fans are going to say, why? You're worth a lot of money, Mr. whatever his name is.
Yeah,
you know, I know you want to cash in.
Ron Gordon.
Mr. whatever his name is. Brilliant, Ruffy, the big guy in the chair. Kevin McFarlane says Peter Hibs should cash in on Nisbet. 2.3 million and a future percentage is a good deal. Don't want another Porteous situation.
Totally agree with Kevin.
I think Porteous will go. I disagree with you, Tam, because I think he's too far down the line chatting to people, and you know, it'll be interesting to see if he stays. Then I think Hibs suddenly might not get any, they'll get no money for him, and off he jolly well goes in the summer and gets the deal that he wants. So it's an interesting one. A lot of people will be looking. I mean, I know they were potentially looking at some of the gossip about Stuart Finlay maybe coming in.
He's been linked to Hibs. He's been linked to Hibs.
Stuart Finlay's a good
number
player.
Of times. He is a good player. You know, he's down at Oxford at the minute. He went over to the MLS. I think he went to Philadelphia from Kilmarnock, and I think he's a solid. You know, he's Scottish international. He's a solid option. I think Stephen Welsh is a solid option as well. So, you know, you're just hoping that the Hibs recruitment team are looking at these guys as well. Yeah,
Andy Lothian, he's just put Millwall ! You know, and a few laughs alongside. I must admit, Andy, I share your view, but you need to have a buying club, Ruffy. Millwall doesn't exactly excite me as a club. That I know you're saying they're in the playoffs, but it's not exactly a fantastic area to go to, Ruffy.
No, and I think
not that I want to suffer the ire of the Millwall fans, because it's been a tough couple of weeks.
I'm trying to remember what guest we had on the show. Was it Jimmy Nick? Was Jimmy Nick it?
Yeah, so was Alec Ray.
And Alec Ray, they had some horrendous stories.
Absolutely.
Things weren't going particularly well.
I don't fancy their fan base, to be honest with you. But listen, needs must, as you say. Lots of people have to think of their own future, and I think that's the other aspect of it. The Hibs fans will be saying, okay, fine, take the money in, but make sure you spend it, and spend it quickly, because we are now on the 25th of January. And that window will close shortly, and on such decisions can determine where you finish in the league. So give us your thoughts on that one. Of course, Hearts digging in, saying they're not going to let Toby Sibbick go. Because quite simply,
Blackpool putting a few bids in for him.
and he has really started to hit a wee bit of form. I've been well impressed with the way he's managed to turn around, because maybe he didn't fancy the right back position, but he looked dodgy at times, but now he looks assured.
Yeah,
not just from one game though, Tam.
No, at the start of the season I think the Hearts fans were giving him a bit of stick. I think he was getting a bit of abuse from the Hearts fans, and Robin Nielsen spoke about it the other day. You know, he was under pressure from the supporters, but he's turned it around. His goal at the weekend against Hibs, you know, his level of fitness, his pace, the last minute of the game, you know, to gallop up the pitch, run away for 2 Hibs players and dink the goalkeeper, you know, fantastic finish. So I think Hearts will be able to keep a hold of him. I think that Hearts have got a lot of players still to come back from injury. Their squad, you know, I really hate to say it as a Hibs man, yet their squad is so far ahead of Hibs at the minute in terms of depth and quality. So, you know, Hearts are in a good place at the minute, unfortunately for Hibs, and I think the two clubs are always going to be judged against each other in terms of league position.
Yeah.
And I think Hearts are 11 points clear, and they've just beat them 3-0. So it's not a great time to be a Hibs fan, and I agree with Ruffy. It's a very, very difficult choice for the decision for the owner at the minute. You know, to cash in, Nisbet could be pushing to go. You know, and you don't want to keep an unhappy player, but at the end of the day, the Hibs supporters want to keep their main striker, their top goal scorer. So I don't envy him this decision that he's going to make, but if the player's pushing and he wants to go, then I think you've got to make the right decision for the club.
Well, everything's rosy in the garden at Hearts because they're in a good position in the league. They've had 2 derby wins over Hibs, as you mentioned there, and this extraordinary footage, Ruffy, of Craig Gordon must feel full of hope. I mean, this is a guy who's had a double leg break, and the pictures are just amazing.
They are, you know, I don't know how serious an injury Tam's ever had in his career. I never had that kind of recovery, rehabilitation. But anybody I listen to who cruciate ligament or whoever, it's soul destroying. It's soul destroying because you know every morning you're coming into the treatment room and all your mates will be coming round going, "How you doing, Craig, how you doing?" And then when the training starts, you're left yourself. You're in that training room with the physio, and you could be there for 2 hours, 3 hours. So mentally, I think you've got to be strong. I think Craig is strong. He's already come back from a horrendous injury. Everybody was saying he'd never play again, but he did it. He come back. I think he will come back again. I know he's 39, 40 years of age, but he's fit. He's still top form when he was playing. I think the hunger there and the ambition to prove everybody that I can come back again, I think he'll do it.
So do I as well, Peter. I think that I suffered a double leg break when I was at Hibs when I was 23, and I think a leg break, believe it or not, is probably better than a cruciate or a ligament injury, an Achilles, because...
What was the pain like?
So it was up at Dens Park, and I went in a 50-50 tackle with a Italian fullback. They had a lot of Italians at the time, Dundee, and it was just an impact injury. And I looked down and I thought my shin pad was outside of my leg, and it was my bone had come through. And so the Hibs physio came on and went, "You're hanged." And I looked down and I thought, "That's my shin pad." And he went, "No, don't touch it." And so I rushed to Ninewells and got an operation right away.
Yeah.
I've still got 8 pins and a plate in my ankle at the minute, still, which will probably be with me until
How'd you get through the security at the airport?
Everybody always asks me. It doesn't go off, don't worry. But
No.
I think with Craig, obviously his has been a clean break, and they'll just go in and they'll pin it. They'll put it together and they'll pin it again, and you can get back, quicker than you would. I've done my lateral ligament when I was at Falkirk, and I was out for 6 months as well. So, I think that was a lot harder than the leg break. So, I think that he'll come back. I think he'll be back soon as.
I only had one at Hibs. We're playing East Fife. No, it was at Thistle, and we were playing East Fife, and the boy came in the bone in my ankle. And I fractured the bone in my ankle, and I come in at half time and I says to be better, I think there's something in my ankle. It's a big jabbing pain. He said, "Yeah, just get out there. You're a big Wayne." Even kick the ball for the whole 45 minutes.
Well, I know I read the book with Bill Shankly. He wouldn't speak to anybody if they're injured.
What managers do that?
Who was the manager? Somebody who had on the show was telling us the manager, if you're in the treatment room, you're in there, they'd walk by with a hot towel, they'd just lob the towel into the treatment room to see how bad you were.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't think you were going to be that graphic. Apologies to anybody who started getting a shrill up their spine.
The worst one had to be Henrik Larsson. The injury.
No, I'll tell you the worst one.
Alpha Engel Haaland.
Tell you the worst one.
Oh, the Coventry boy.
David Boost. Blood in the pitch and everything. They come on with the
I
sand.
think people were sick, actually.
I don't think he ever come back from that, did they?
I don't know if they come back from it, but that was the most horrendous
That was the worst
injury
one.
I've ever seen.
The blood and all that. And
yeah, and the bone hanging
Michael
right
was,
out.
aye, that's right.
Not good. And you wouldn't wish that on any player. So brilliant to see Craig Gordon back there, and the road to recovery well and truly on. Thanks to Andrew Taggart, who won the match attacks from last week. Andrew, I think, has got a couple of kids, and he's absolutely delighted. So, Andrew, I can't tell you, we posted that.
Particularly Thistle fan, Andrew? I think he might be. I think he follows me on Twitter. If it's that Andrew Taggart.
Well, I don't know, but
Big Thistle fan.
He's delighted, and we've sent that away. We've posted away all the prizes, Ruffy, so it's absolutely brilliant. More and more competitions coming up, and if you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, brilliant, you'll be well used to competitions and winning stuff on this channel, and lots of good content, lots of good one-to-ones on the way, and some special guests coming up that I think you'll enjoy as well. And one of your old mates were trying, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but obviously we've got a wee special ceremony coming up, Ruffy, that I'll just enlighten you. Obviously, if you're back to full fitness yourself, because we'll never know where we are at the moment, Tom.
Well, he's struggling, on his last legs.
Yeah, he said, I wouldn't say that, but don't put that in his head, because he's a warrior,
He's still fit as a fiddle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many of you for posting messages. Great to have your comments on these things. Of course, we've been talking about signings, but we did talk about, just touched on Aberdeen. I don't think anybody wants to see a manager get sacked. You only can comment on, you live or die by results. In Aberdeen, obviously the board has been talking. There's still no indication of whether they just decided they're going to go with him. The general feeling among many in the press is that they're going to make that decision and call a halt to Jim Goodwin's reign as Aberdeen boss.
Yeah, I think that they'll be, getting their ducks in a row in terms of payoffs. I don't see Jim coming back from that defeat. I think that it was bad enough, the Hearts defeat, 5-0, but to get down to Darvel, you've got to give Darvel a lot of credit. I thought Darvel were excellent. Obviously, I seen the show yesterday, and you were giving them a lot of praise, and they deservedly so. But Aberdeen shouldn't be going down there and getting beat, from a 6th-tier team. So I think that they'll be trying to negotiate a package with Jim in terms of a severance. And when you look at 11 months in the job, Stephen Glass 11 months in the job, paid him off. They came in, Derek McInnes, paid off. They spent over £1 million in transfers this season. And Duke, Ramdani, guys like that, Miovski. They spent a lot of money, Aberdeen, and for them to be sitting where they are on the table and to lose to Darvel is nowhere near good enough for the level of investment that Dave Cormack and the board have put in.
Yeah, listen, I think the great thing about yesterday's show, we spoke to Craig Truesdale, we obviously spoke to Michael Grant as well from the Times about Aberdeen and their predicament. You cannot take anything away from Darvel, and I think it was right and proper that we concentrated on the positives of their result first and foremost, but the nightmare scenario for Dons fans is they're quite simply looking at a team that hasn't performed. I was reading the Press and Journal this morning, and Anthony Stewart saying the players have to take the blame. That's that usual cop-out that comes from players, once they've pushed the manager over the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, every one of them to a man's been coming out and saying it's my fault, it's my fault, my fault. Do something about it. You've got a chance when you're on the park to do something about it. Don't start talking about it afterwards. And at this moment in time, if you spoke about it yesterday, you would have to be a fly in the wall in that Aberdeen boardroom, because there'll obviously be a lot of questions have to be answered, and everybody will have a different view. Some board members might have different views from the others, but at the end of the day, it's the owner that will make the decision. Has he got enough of bonus points, for the owner to say, yeah, we'll give you another 2 or 3 games? We'll have to wait and see. But I gave him a chance. I gave him another game. I maybe gave him 2 games if he wins against Hibs.
Well, do you know what that means?
Absolutely.
But do you know the funny thing about it is, this is uncanny, and I know you go through that phase of it's not being kind, it's just your bottle crashes. But the last 2 managers that you've said, I'm going to give him another game or 2. Within 24 hours, he gets sacked.
He probably sacked him out, we don't know. But I always, as I said the other day there, I hear too many people saying we're sacking managers too quickly. And I can see why you would sack him.
Ruffy.
I really can see why you... I'm not sticking up for him. I can see why, as an owner, you would sack him. But how many people are you going to keep sacking before you get it right? And one in particular thing, I'm not saying it works all the time, because it doesn't work all the time. Mikel Arteta, where was he a year ago? Out the door, done, gone. Look where he is now. Now, I know there are a lot of circumstances why that thing should happen, but it doesn't happen all the time. You've got to say to yourself, well, look at the guy and look at what he's doing behind the scenes, look at the way he comes over, and then you decide what you're going to do. But I can see why we go. A good quote for Anne Budge the other day, saying that supporters should maybe watch what they wish for.
Yes.
Because Robbie Nielsen turned it round, and Robbie Nielsen was winning the championship by a mile. Everybody didn't like him.
Motherwell and Rangers, he was very close to getting
but I'm not
sacked.
saying that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But
Can I
it's
just
up
say-
to the owner to make that decision, and it has to be the right decision.
Chris Andrews, who obviously an Aberdeen fan, says nobody in Aberdeen wants Jim Goodwin to stay. Can I just say on this situation, and I like Jim Goodwin, I've got a lot of time for him. I thought he was going to be a success up there. The manager lives or dies by results. That's the first thing. So the results have been poor. There's been a collection of things that I think have gone against Jim. In the recruitment area, when he's brought the players in and he's hoping that they can start to gel together quickly, it hasn't happened. The bus against Celtic was against them.
Slaughtered for that.
The 2 minutes to go, 2-1 up on Rangers, they lost the game, slaughtered for that. They get knocked out by Darvel, but they get thumped by a Hearts side that really wasn't even in second gear against them. They were 3-0 down inside the first half hour at Tynecastle, and you were thinking, I actually see if there was 2 or 3 chances, it could have been 6 or 7, Tam. So you don't... Dave Cormack will be looking in the background and say, well, wait a minute, we've given you the players. Can we see something in the background that suggests that there's going to be a turnaround? And that's, I think that's a point that Ruffy makes. I don't think there will be. I think he'll look and say to himself, this is not cutting it now. The fans will start staying away.
The unfortunate thing at Aberdeen, and I think Richard touched on it yesterday, they don't have any captains, they don't have any leaders, they don't have 3 or 4 experienced players that the owner can pull aside and pull them into a room and say,
He left his captain out there, Will.
I know,
but
he's not got anybody that he can bounce off to say, look guys, what likes it in the dressing room? And you really want to fight for this guy, and is the training good, is this good, is he, what's not coming across here? And these are the things you've got to chat, but I don't think there's anybody like Scott Brown there that he can... Shinnie's there, he can do it with Shinnie.
See, in terms of Aberdeen, I think that Peter's right, you've got to see signs of it's going to improve. You know, and over the last few games, I've not... You know, if you battered Darvel and get beat 1-0, if you battered them and were unlucky, you would say, right, okay, you're on another night, you'd have won 4 or 5-1. That didn't happen. I thought Darvel were the better team throughout, which is damning on them. And I look at Lee Johnson at Hibs, you know, he's under pressure as well. I looked at the performance against Hearts at the weekend, beat 3-0, but played well. Doesn't matter, obviously, it's a cup game. But if you're looking at it and you're going, if the players chucked it, as there signs there that they're going to get better? I think the answer to Lee Johnson at the minute is yes. At the minute, and that could change in the next couple of games. But I think in terms of Lee Johnson, there is signs of that game that you could improve it. Aberdeen, I don't see signs of it getting better.
But there's no comparison with Arteta because Arsenal were playing some good football under him.
But what happens to the scenario if he goes to Hibs and he's still there and he wins 2-0, 3-0? What does that mean? In the scale of things,
What do you mean? He keeps him in a job.
Keeps him in a job, and then he goes and plays the next game and he wins that one. So that's how things can turn very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
But there's no signs of Aberdeen beating Hibs.
There isn't. I mean, we're all sitting here saying they'll be there on Saturday.
By the way,
anyway.
can I just say something to you? If they win the next 17 games, Ruffy, I think they'll be in the Europa League. You know, calm down. You know, we're only looking at the evidence and saying there's no signs.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the background. The players that he signed are not doing it. You know, and the boy Anthony Stewart in the last couple of games has been absolutely woeful. You've criticised him yourself.
McCrory's not centre half.
Yeah, never.
We've been saying that for 2 years.
And of course, the manager came out in February and said it'll take me a week to sort the back line. Well, it hasn't. I don't. Listen, nobody likes to see a manager get sacked, but you can only call it as you see it on the evidence that's there in front of your eyes, and I think they're woeful. there's lots of Aberdeen fans who will be throwing out their own opinion on this one, but certainly from the papers, I mean, yesterday's paper in the Aberdeen Evening Express, the worst moment in our history.
And they've got a history that you can't compare.
Absolutely. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen there. But we'll keep you up to date with it. And of course, if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news on PLZ Soccer's app in the App Store and in Google Play. Hit the subscribe button if you want to talk football with us. A couple of other signings that I think will be interesting. Yet again, if Ange Postecoglou has started something, it's an influx of players from the East. And yet again, Motherwell now looking just to get things over, signed, done and dusted for Riku Danzaki. And boy, Stephen Hamill needs players.
Yeah, he does, and I think it's refreshing to see players of this calibre coming in. I know Hearts have signed a couple of Japanese players, obviously Celtic, now Motherwell dipping into that market. Rather than going for a 30-year-old that's bounced about, journeyman that's bounced about the Scottish leagues or English leagues, League One, League Two, go and get a young Japanese player and take a punt. He might come in and light the game up, and you get a big transfer fee. So I would, if I was in any sort of recruitment, I'd be trying to sign players like that rather than a 32-year-old that's played 300 games in League One and League Two.
I like it as well. I like them coming in, but the downside is the young people that you're training will be now getting older and going, how do I get in here?
Yeah.
How do I the academy players, the good quality you keep telling us are out there, where are they going to get a chance?
Yeah, I like the pathway. I agree with you. I'd like to see Scottish players coming through and showing the quality that they have. There is the flip side to that, which is unfortunate, is a lot of players who show real promise from 16 to 18 at the moment. There seems to be this, this $1 million, $500,000, money that the English clubs can throw and steal the players, which is a real pain.
A lot of them are getting nicked before they can get into the first teams, and particularly Motherwell.
There must be in the academy some good players.
I was speaking to a guy, and I won't tell who it was, but I was speaking to him, and his son was with one of the clubs, and Rangers have just taken him. He's 16. There is compensation there, obviously, but that if you've got a kid and you've had him for years 12, and you see the progress and you see where he is, and all of a sudden 16 he's gone.
Yeah. I must admit though, it'd be good if the player comes in and he lights up the league and he enhances the league.
As long as he's better than what they've got.
Yes, absolutely. That's what you want.
Walking the pathway.
You don't want to get to a situation where, and there was a period, I have to tell you, I think I was a reporter in Edinburgh where some players come in and you thought, wow, really? Is that it? Is there not enough good Scottish talent there that can take the place of this guy they've brought in? And I've seen some real...
The biggest one for me is, I'm not like picking him out deliberately, but
why?
What's the boy Lowry saying at Rangers? What is he saying to himself at this precise moment in time?
Well, he's got to force the manager's hand, Ruffy. The manager's watching these players every day. So
he obviously thinks the two players that are coming in are better than him.
Well, absolutely, that must be the case.
Well, you heard Michael Beale speaking about Alex Lowry about 4 weeks ago, where he said his teammates have got to want him in the team, his teammates have got to trust him. The feedback I'm getting is Alex is I've coached him, very talented player going forward. Going the other way, he's got to improve. He's not going to play at Rangers until he improves that side of the game. When you lose the ball, you go and press, you get it back. Doing your defensive duties, because Rangers, no club can afford to carry, luxury players or passengers. I'm not saying Alex says that, but he's got to improve his work rate and his attitude off the ball. And if he does that, he'll play for Rangers. If he doesn't, then he won't. Simple as that.
Just before we go, a couple of things I want to draw to your attention. Scottish Cup results: Elgin defeated Drumchapel by 2-1. Linlithgow Rose lost by 2-0 against Wraith Rovers. Here's the update on the Scottish Cup draw now, and we've still got a couple of ties still to be played. Linlithgow Rose will take on Motherwell, Livingston against Inverness or Queen's Park. It's Dundee United Kelly, Hamilton Accies Hearts, Celtic St Mirren. It's Cove Rangers or Ayr United against Elgin, and Darvel against Falkirk, and then Rangers against Partick Thistle, Ruffy. There's an absolute cracker for you. But those other two ties will be settled, and then we'll know the complete draw for the Scottish Cup. Interestingly enough, I did spot a great picture today. Olivier Giroud with Jason Cummings top, and Jason Cummings has his AC Milan top, so that's not bad going, is it?
No, it is. Obviously, I think he patched him at the World Cup, Cummings, didn't he? He tried to get his top, big Giroud, binned him. So, obviously, the power of social media has brought them together, and I'm sure that Cumdog strip will got pride of place in the Big Giroud's mansion. Yeah, absolutely. Just before we give you the quiz answer, still chance for you to get in there and win yourself that Jota print signed by the man himself.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know if we had it in the draw there, but Wraith Rovers beat Linlithgow Rose, so Wraith Rovers are in that draw. Don't worry about it. Ruffy's eagle eye. Well done, Ruffy. That's the first time you've noticed a graphic.
I just woke up there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing about it. Yeah, Martin has noticed it as well. Well done, Martin. I know it's just a typo in the graphic there, but it's Wraith Rovers who are in the draw because they defeated Linlithgow Rose by 2-0. Good luck with the competition. Lots of people entering it, and if you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, then you double your chances of winning. Andrew Taggart is a happy man. His match attacks are on the way, and I think his kids will just be opening them up. And the great thing is, it's a box as well as the 3 starter packs. There's a big box, Ruffy, so you just open it up and you just keep going like that.
You just keep liking them and sticking them, and then you have the fight for the doublers.
Yeah,
you're always a favourite you want, and if your brother's got 2 of them and you've not got any of them, you have to do a wee bit of wheeling and dealing.
And the good news about it all is, every now and then when you get a doubler of Ruffy, you swap it. You know, who do you get? What level of player can you get if you've got a doubler of Ruffy?
I'll get it to my auntie. She's a big fan.
Big fan of Ruffy?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Just write the address down there, will you? Okay, just before we go, the answer to the quiz, 1980, it was against Hamburg. Who scored the goal for Nottingham Forest?
I'm going to go John Robertson.
What about yourself?
Trevor
Francis. The answer was John Robertson, because the year before, Nottingham Forest had defeated Malmo in the European Cup final. Robertson crossed the ball and Trevor Francis scored. And in 1980, John Robertson, who is always in my Scotland dream team, Ruffy, he's one of my favourite players of all time, long before he ever arrived on Celtic shores as a coach with Martin O'Neill. He was, for me, one of my favourites. And the great thing about Robbo is, left foot, right foot, brilliant.
There was something on again, I think it was Sky or something like that. It was a Notts Forest thing, and you had everybody commenting on him. Obviously the manager and the players and everything. They showed wee clips of him, and it was just a shimmy.
Yeah.
He would just go up the defenders and do a wee dodge, a wee dip of the shoulder, and gone. And over 5-10 yards, he was just superb.
Yeah, absolutely magnificent. And of course, as Martin O'Neill said on many an occasion, over 20 yards, the slowest player you've ever witnessed in your life. But 5 yards, shift it, bang.
The best quote was, just give the ball to the tramp.
Honestly, it's funny actually, Cloughie saying that, but he loved him. And
you get players that are quicker with the ball than without the ball. Unbelievably. Stephen Dobie was like that.
Yeah.
Stephen Dobie. Yeah. Unbelievably quick feet, sharp over 5 yards, and as you said, 20 yards they couldn't.
Yeah, couldn't run. Well, Robbo, if you ever get a chance. In fact, I think the DVD is well worth watching. Yep. I Believe in Miracles. Have you seen it, Tam?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Tam, it's on. You'll get it on Netflix somewhere. I Believe in Miracles. The music in it is phenomenal.
What's it on Netflix?
I think you'll get it on Netflix or something like
YouTube,
that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I Believe in Miracles. It's the story of Nottingham Forest in the late 70s and early 80s, and all the legends are there. And we've interviewed a few of them. Anyway, we love our football. Hopefully you love the football as well, because it's absolutely free to watch on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. Ruffy won't be with us tomorrow and Friday. He'll be back with us on Monday. So fingers crossed for that.
Get well soon, Ruffy.
Yeah, get well soon.
A bit late for the snip,
Absolutely. Well, that's what happens. It'll need to be... need to be a real. I don't know why you're getting your arm in Lars, but nevertheless, on that note, thanks, Ruffy. Good night.